Here we are, Titans Talk Back, presented by Lee Company. Titans fall 30-14 to the Green Bay Packers. You want to vent? We ask this question every week. Do you want to vent? Lines are open, 615-737-1045. Brent Dougherty with you. Zach Lyons is here. Dr. Kevin Dyson is here. Titans lose again. Dice, what'd you see?
Oh, man, let's start with the positive. The positive,
Might as well.
Malik Willis came out and just dissected this defense.
Wait a minute. Is that a positive?
Listen, I'm getting there. That's what I'm saying. And in response to that first drive,
welcome to Packers Talk Back.
In response to that first drive, Will Levis and the offense responded beautifully with their own methodical offensive scoring possession. And you thought, okay, this is going to be an offensive explosion type game where they have seemingly put some things together. Now, let's talk about the realistic part of the game. That was it.
Well, no, to hit on that, because you think, okay, they survived the no-read, game plan stuff from Malik Willis, and he totally dissected them in the first drive. And you think at that point, okay, once the Titans march down the field, score a touchdown, tie the game up, they're gonna be able to kind of keep him in check.
Yeah, he thought
from
they'd
that
slow
point
that
on.
thing down, but it didn't work out like that.
So props to Malik Willis. I'm happy for him. He's a great dude. He came in and, as you said, dissected the Titans and did it the entire game. Congrats. But man,
see,
that's tough.
He never got outside of his own persona. He played within the system that they created for him. He played within himself. He didn't try to do too much or too little. He made plays with his legs, as he has 70-something yards rushing. He made plays with his arms. Nothing spectacular. He took what the defense gave him. He took a couple of shots, and his guy made plays.
4 30-plus yard passes.
And they made plays for him. Some of those were tough catches. It wasn't like he just dropped dimes. They just made some tough catches. And to that point, it shows you what can happen given right circumstances, confidence in yourself, confidence in your game, and when your defense is playing well. The Packers defense played very well, 8 sacks. It makes it hard. Statistically, if you look at it, and I know Zach is going to get to this a little more, Will Levis, if you just took the 26 for 34, 260, 2 touchdowns, you're thinking, that's not a bad night. Even with the 2 picks, that's not a bad gig. Sacked 8 times, missed some open throws, had the fumble. There's a lot of things there where you're like, is this the guy?
Yeah.
Right? So, in retrospect, there's some things you can build on, but the frustrating part of this is the one thing we've been able to hold a hat on the first couple of weeks was defense. Well, the defense didn't look like it had. The other part of that was offense has not seemingly gotten better from week 1 to week 2 to week 3. And I think as you're a fan, you're starting to say, well, I guess we just hit the drawing board next year. What you would hope from my perspective as a fan, I want to see progressively getting better from week to week. I'm not seeing that right now. So that leaves me without hope right now, just because I want to see this offense getting better. And I think Callahan kind of mentioned something to that effect. And he said, that's on me. We need to get better. And week to week, we need to be getting better. And they're not. But I thought that first drive was like, here we go. We are getting better. And then it just went back in the tank. And you can't do nothing. Your offensive line doesn't protect.
615-737-1045. You mentioned 8 sacks. That's 15 on the season. They're on pace. Last year, they gave up 64. They're on pace for 85 this year. Zach, what stood out to you?
I'll start with some positive.
There you go.
I'll try to be. I think this is the best that Will Levis has looked, and as crazy as that sounds, out of the 3 games so far, this is the best that he's
catastrophic
looked. And it's still,
error,
and listen, it's the best he looked. It's not good enough.
Get it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, let's just be honest. It's still not good enough. He brought a couple of the sacks on himself.
He did.
He was sitting there and he had guys open. When he chose to run it for that, try to get that first down, which he jumped for
On
whatever
4th
reason.
down.
He had Tony Pollard wide open, and he's looking at Tony Pollard, and it's just an easy throw right there. So there's still some stuff, but again, it's kind of like, I hate to bring up Malik Willis after he just had a good game, but it's like going from year 1 Malik Willis to year 2 Malik Willis. It's just still not good enough. Yeah. I think ultimately what happened is that the defense crapped their pants at the worst time. The offensive line was, again, terrible. And I think that the 2 rookie play callers, Brian Callahan and Ard Wilson, were thoroughly outcoached and outmatched, and they let the Green Bay Packers dictate their game plan. And we got to keep in mind, this is going to be growing pains for them too. I bring it up every week, but this is growing pains for them too, even though they've both been in the league for a while.
Yeah.
Right. And this isn't like, to me, I thought the defensive game plan was trash. Like, I just think it was straight up silly. They barely tried to attempt any pressure on Malik Willis. They played a lot of zone for some reason. It just didn't make any sense to me. And listen, I know that's not who Denard Wilson is. I know this is not indicative of what this defense will be every week, but it just came at the worst time possible. And the Titans are 0-3 because all this stuff went poorly.
Yep.
Like, Will Levis is like fourth on the blame chart for me this week. I don't know how it is for you guys, but it was like fourth or fifth. Yeah.
I can see that.
I mean, the offensive line was the focal point in terms of
play calling. Probably be second.
I'll be keeping my eyes on this quarterback 2025 quarterback class for sure. Nothing has changed there as far as I'm concerned.
Well, the unfortunate part for Will Levis is even if they, get the opportunity to evaluate him throughout the course of the year, he doesn't get hurt, those things. If they still have a top 5 pick or something like that, I mean, you take quarterback, right?
I mean,
they're not married to they didn't draft this guy.
Didn't draft a guy.
Can you really go and listen, with your job on the line, I'll ask you both. We'll go around table. For me, if my job's on the line in year 2, we've seen Miss Amy have a quick trigger. I'm not going in at this point in time, based on what we've seen, I'm not going into, if I'm Brian Callahan or I'm Rand Carthon, going into 2025 with Will Levis as my quarterback and hinging my career,
depending on record,
and employment.
Like if they turn things around,
if they turn things around, it's different. But now,
my thing was the record part of it. Like if they end up with if they end up with a top 5 pick, maybe even a top 10 pick, there's a coaching staff not married to the quarterback. There's a coaching staff that is known for, at least Brian Callahan, known for being an offensive guy and a play caller and all these things. So, yeah, I'm going to go get my guy. I'm going to go get the guy that I think is my guy. Now, we're 3 games in, so maybe it's too early to have this conversation. And Will Levis has played better game 1 to game 2 to game 3.
Yeah.
And
like you said, still a catastrophic play.
Yes, he did have the big 6, and that's a huge thing, but he's also behind an offensive line. They gave up 8 freaking sacks.
Yeah. And I'll be devil's advocate for the fact that you're still talking about a guy that's essentially a rookie who's on his second play caller, second philosophy.
That's why I'm trying to be hesitant in terms of coming up with an opinion about him. But
so and it's similar to, we talked about off air, the Mariota effect of, it's hard to develop a guy if he's constantly in change and trying to figure out. I think there's a confidence barrier there too of the knowledge of the offense, the expectation of it, and I don't want to make a mistake. And that, if you have that hinders your game anyway. You can see just from body language, Malik Willis was fully confident in what he was doing out there, and he's only been there 3 weeks. So it was a difference in that. I think you also got to play in mind, we just got Mason.
I'd love to see how many plays they had for him.
Right.
I mean, my guess is they had limited it, dumbed it down, and not overfilled his brain. You know what I mean?
And he had a whole week of 2 weeks another whole 2 weeks to be able to go through the offense and do some things. They learned his skill set. LaFleur is very smart at putting guys in favorable positions. But I think too, aside from the college draft, and I know you just signed Mason Rudolph, are there any quarterbacks that are particularly going to be available? Like Dak Prescott, there was a fear, if you will, from Dallas and some Dallas people are calling for him to leave just because he has won a playoff game, but he's won a lot of football games. He's been up there in the MVP race just about every year the last several years. Is there a guy, I'm not saying Dak Prescott, but is there Dak Prescott? Is there somebody potentially that is a free agent veteran that could come in and have impact?
Right, but then
Sam Darnold next year.
But then you're overspending.
Yeah,
right?
Well, again,
you would love to be able to win on a rookie contract.
Right, you would. But to that point,
as opposed to $200 million.
This is a results-oriented field.
True.
So if I'm going to go for these wins, and everything is a short window of opportunity, the Chiefs aside, the Patriots aside, really, when you have extended length of success, the free agency period has created a balance in the league where you have different people at the top of the heap at any given year. So if free agency becomes so much more crucial in the aspect of being able to get quality free agents that fit into what you're trying to do. So getting a guy like a Sam Darnold. Remember, Sam Darnold was thrown out for pasture.
Yep.
And now he's having a quality year where he's right now, early on, is in a conversation for MVP. I mean, it's only 3 games in, but
beat
you
the
put him up there.
49ers, won again today against the Texans.
Come on.
Won easily today.
Against Stroud, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
615-737-1045. A quick break for the legal ID, and then we'll go to the phones. Your reaction, Titans fall to the Green Bay Packers. Man, Nissan Stadium was loaded down with cheeseheads. 30-14, the final score. We'll be right back. Again, 615-737-1045. Let's go to the phones. Brent Dougherty, Zach Lyons, Dr. Kevin Dyson, Ben in Bowling Green. Ben, what's up?
Hey, guys, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'd just like to formally volunteer to help Miss Amy write the apology letter to Coach Vrabel. I thought we could say something along the lines of, I'm sorry, honey, please take me back, or, we can workshop it. But I felt like Vrabel's teams, for most of his tenure, found a way to win ugly. It seems like this group kind of finds a way to lose pretty. All the stuff that Vrabel talked about, we got to stay out of the drop passing game. We got to keep the score down and take care of the ball. We got to keep guys for special teams. We scoffed at all of those things, but that's exactly the stuff that's getting us beat this year. And, it seems like this group thinks, maybe more like the consensus. And where are we? It just feels like today was a game that, under the Vrabel regime, would have been a 17-14 rock fight that they found a way to win. And today we got to watch some empty sets. We got to watch them sling the ball around. We got to do all the exciting stuff, but we were never particularly close to winning the game. And so, I don't know. I think we let a good coach go in January, and I don't know. I'll be honest with you, I feel more convicted about that today than I did even then. So I'll get y'all's thoughts.
Thank you, Ben.
Did everybody enjoy the big losing streak that Mike Vrabel went on in 2022? I mean, am I the only
revisionist history?
It's revisionist history. 6-18 in his last, I guess, the last 2 years or whatever. For
after after being 7-3.
I mean, there's a lot of revisionist history about Mike Vrabel, and I get that the Mike Vrabel of 2020, 2021, 2019, maybe 2018, you're talking about that. And I get it, but 2 of those years had Art Smith, coordinating at a high level. But, at the end of the day, I think that we saw that under Mike Vrabel, this team was getting worse. And they're, for better or for worse, on some of these players. But like Andre Dillard, that's a Mike Vrabel thing. Yeah. The Will Levis, who everybody's out on, rumors are ownership driven, according to Charles Robinson. So just got to throw that stuff out there. You got to keep it.
Would Mike Vrabel be dealing with the offensive line problems?
No, it'd be probably just as bad or worse.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Yes, the answer is yes. He would be dealing with NPF.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying.
Giving up the sack fumble. I mean, where he didn't even get out of his feet. Good Lord, that's a bad replay.
Yeah, I think Vrabel's downfall was his inability to find somebody that can run that offense like he had, like you talked about. With
I think he was loyal to a fault.
He was, and I think he also had a lot more of control issue.
Yep.
He had control issues. He couldn't let things go. If he'd have let that offense go with the talent they've had, I think he would still be around it. I don't think they had the losing streak that they had. The other part of this
By the way, they've won 1 game since December 11, 2023.
There's one thing that people can talk about. We talk about this game, but the impact of these losses is what's happening on the east side of that stadium, the new stadium going up. Like, from what I understand, PSLs are being hard to getting sold, and they're doing everything marketing-wise to get people sold. Anybody that's coming to me about it is like, why would I want to spend the money, the excess of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and finance that, and they're losing. So, and again, Amy is a businesswoman. Rand's a businessman. Everybody in the organization, they're running a business. They want a good product out there.
They need to be winning by that 26 season.
They need
for sure.
They need to.
The year before they go into that building, you're right, because they've got to sell tickets. 615-737-1045. Eric in Nashville. Eric, what's up?
Hey, guys, before I get to the game today, because I was there, I feel like I need to say this. Whoever was the individual that leaked Will Levis' phone number, where fans were calling him, giving him a hard time, please guys, you need to take a chill pill, grow up. We cannot be doing that stuff where you're harassing football players, harassing coaches on the phone, showing up to somebody's home, whether they're football players or coaches. It is just football. RELAX. Relax. Guys, I'm disappointed the Titans lost today, but I'm not going to call somebody on their phone or show up to somebody's house because of it, guys.
That's good.
So that stuff
I don't want you to get arrested, Eric.
So that I just felt like I needed to say that first.
I got
As far as the game was today, guys, I was there. I left when it became 27-7 at third quarter, guys. It was just so frustrating to see that effort. The sacks, certainly Will Levis's interception didn't help. But now I guess it's -8 in turnovers, and don't have a turnover yet with 3 turnovers today. But guys, it's like, how could they have a chance with this offensive line? Defensively, I was so disappointed in defense. It seems like every time we even attempted to make a tackle, either we whiffed or we had the guy in the grass, but he was breaking tackles, whether it was for losses or minimal or no games and getting yardage. It was just frustrating to see that, guys. And just one question for both the offense and defense, just get your thoughts on this. First of all, as far as the defense, guys, do you think it was just the coaches not being able to make adjustments after just to play with the defense, bad game plan, or just players out of position? Just wanting to get your thoughts on that. As far as the offense, I know we're going to hear calls saying that we should not have traded Malik Willis and all that type of stuff. But I think even if he was here, I don't know if he would have been able to succeed with this offensive line. Well, I think he's in a better coaching staff and a better system that's using his skill set. And people have complained that he probably wasn't used properly when he was here, or I don't know if you could have put him in a position to succeed just with the talent level offensive line situation. Just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that. Guys, y'all take care, tighten up, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Eric. I mean, if Malik Willis were here, he wouldn't have played a snap this season.
I think the one thing about this game with
you
Malik
still wouldn't
Willis,
know.
You wouldn't know, but to this game is he didn't get outside of himself. He took what the defense gave him. They did a lot of reads right in front of him, crossers, things like that, and they played a lot of zone behind it. So it was easier for him to dissect, if you will, and find gaps. He took a couple shots on the edges. He saw the one-on-one or the cover 3 or one-on or cover 1 on the edges, gave his receiver a chance to make a play, and the receiver made a play. He escaped pockets and extended drives with his legs, did a zone read, made the proper read. The guy squeezed down to make the play a tackle. He pulls it and goes at the edges. I mean, he played within himself, and they utilized his strengths within him and within their offense to maximize his ability. And he looked fully confident in there. Granted, he's only been there 3 weeks, right? So there's something to say about the preparation of not just him, but of the offensive staff to get him so he can go out here and go 2-0. He's undefeated as a Green Bay Packers starter.
That's right. 2-0. In terms of adjustments, I felt like the Titans offense was doing what they could. They just had, I mean, you had the NPF total whiff that led to a sack with a fumble on third down. You had another sack on third down. 3 of their 8 sacks came late in the game where they were just peeling their ears back.
4 sacks came in the fourth quarter.
Fourth quarter when you got
fourth quarter.
I just went through and counted them because I wanted to see. There were 7 of them came under shotgun. Of course, they do the majority of their snaps out of shotgun, which may be an issue. May need to disguise a little bit and go more under center. But again, they think they can't go under center on 3rd and long or 2nd and long because it doesn't give. You have to pass is how they feel.
But that's an indication of the Titans in terms of adjustment. Could they have done something? Because Green Bay knew that they were, 7-step drop throwing the ball. So is there something you could do with quicker reads there?
Yeah, they tried a couple of screens, a couple of different things there, here and there. And again, it took so long to develop that he had people in his face, really couldn't get there. They dissected. They were there on it. The one quick throw that I remember blatantly was the pick 6.
Yeah,
Alexander Jair.
I don't even consider that a quick throw. It seemed like he was very slow to do that.
Yeah, it was a hitch, which Jair didn't even backpedal. So it almost like he knew he had coverage behind him, and he was just like, "Oh, please throw this." As soon as he saw him, his arm reach back, he was like, "Woohoo!" He just knew he had a pick 6 because he didn't even backpedal. So it was a coverage. Something they saw on film, they knew it was coming. I think the offense, its struggles is definitely linked to up front and inconsistency there. I mean, you only had 11 rushes today for 33 yards, and what did Will have? He had 4 of those. No, Will had 3 for 12 of those. So he's literally a third of all of that, and he's your quarterback, and that's not even great stats. And
six carries from the running backs.
6 carries from the running backs, who are pretty good players.
The Packers dictated what the Titans could do.
did.
And the problem is, to me, is that when you have a quarterback that maybe does not fit your system to the best of his ability, no matter how many times you want to try to cram him and make him into Joe Burrow, he's not Joe Burrow. So there's a couple things here. I don't know how much time we got, but first off, a lot of people want them to take more deep shots. Well, before today, he was 3 of 11 on deep shots, and he threw 2 deep shots today, maybe 3, and 2 of those one was an incompletion, another one was that interception towards the end. So he hasn't been good on deep shots. And the Tennessee Titans are getting separation. I mean, they had 3 players, or they had they had 5 players, 5 pass catchers, be over the league average in NFL separation by the time the ball comes to them, whether that is incomplete or a catch. So people are getting schemed open. But the problem is that Green Bay dictated everything and made them one-dimensional. Yeah. And really, the game wasn't so far out of hand that they had to be one-dimensional. It's just that the run game wasn't working. It was completely inefficient today, which is kind of crazy because of the last 2 weeks. To me, I just kind of look at it and I go, I know that a lot of people are going to preach patience, and a lot of people are going to say, well, this is only his, X amount of starts, and this is a new system, and this is new for everybody.
I would be one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, and I understand where you're coming from, but I think a lot of this is on hope, and I feel like hope is just a logical fallacy at this point.
Yeah. 615-737-1045. Kim in the
I'm coming
borough.
to the dark side.
Kim, what's up?
Hey, guys. First, I want to touch on a couple of things y'all said earlier before I ask my question. One of y'all said that it may be too early to talk about drafting a quarterback next year. I disagree. Levis has showed us nothing that he could be the guy. The other thing is, one of y'all said that Levis is 4th on the blame list. I put him on 2nd. The first would be the offensive line. Probably 2 of the worst years in NFL history of offensive line performance.
I'd go 3.
Yeah, I'd extend that one more year.
Yeah, 3.
My question is, Carolina benched Bryce Young. Why not take a chance and throw Mason Rudolph out there against Miami? Levis has shown absolutely nothing. Maybe it's a wake-up call for Levis that, hey, my job's in jeopardy. I seen an article about Bryce Young might start again this season. It's just, hey, let him get better. Throw him, he needs to get better. So maybe throw Mason Rudolph out in Miami. We've seen nothing from Levis this year. I'll get y'all's opinion.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Bryce Young had 2 full seasons in the first part of this year.
One full season.
Oh, excuse me, 1 full season.
Yeah, they benched him after 18 games, and he's not even at 18 games. And let's be honest, I understand that Levis isn't lighting the world on fire, but he's light years better than what Bryce Young was.
Yeah. And so
he's
I
12
think,
games in.
So, yeah, he's got a different sample size and things like that. But, okay, let's talk about something positive with Will Levis.
Let's do it when we come back.
Okay.
Positive about Will Levis.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
I had to go back almost a year, but
Okay.
tuned. Titans Talkback presented by Lee Company. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home too. Your next play, visit LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Titans Talkback presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need, visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. Brent Dougherty, Zach Lyons, Dr. Kevin Dyson. Catastrophic stuff again. The pick six, and then the weird penalty on Big Jeff on the missed field goal where they get the ball back, they score a touchdown. That's 14 points again.
Right there.
Just giving to the other team.
The other team. So what's that? 14. What did they score? 30? So we're looking at a 16.
16-14.
16-14. Now that's a whole different type of game.
Where they're not peeling their ears back and blitzing every time, and you have to run your regular defense. And game's completely different without those two plays.
Different. Yep.
How do they eliminate catastrophic plays? It's crazy. They didn't have a punt block today. There's that.
They didn't. They didn't have one special team.
Broke that streak.
Nobody, no big kick returns or anything like that. Defense kind of fell apart a little bit today.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it was a little bit.
It fell a lot of bit.
That was probably the most disappointed part for me personally, because I really like everything that Denard Wilson has done. And I know people are like, well, it's just the Bears. Well, I mean, you're still holding an NFL football team to 150 total yards of offense.
Yeah.
I mean, people who say this team has been worse than what it is under Vrabel, I would say that the quarterback play has been worse. The offensive line play has been the same, but the defense for the 2 out of the 3 games have been better than most of what Vrabel fielded the last 2 years.
I don't know. I mean, we were talking about offensive line Jesus on 3HL, and they're on pace. Last year they gave up 64 sacks. This year they're on pace for 85.
85.
I guess that's where my hope is at. You know, your hope kind of lies with Will Levis a little bit. My hope lies with Bill Callahan.
I don't know what you do at right tackle.
You have to go to free
really
agency. You have to get a vet.
Or
Chris Hubbard is a guy that I would be going to get.
Do you move Radens out to right tackle and,
I don't know.
bring up
you
Rupchich?
try to find somebody you can trade for and you had to give up something for it? A future second rounder or something? I don't know.
That's a tough place to be after 3 weeks.
I think you just ride it out of that. I wouldn't give up a draft pick for a right
you need
tackle
a draft
at this
capital.
point.
I can see that.
Yeah. Unless you can get one for like a 7th rounder or something. But how good are they going to be if you're trading a 7th round pick for them?
That's true. Let's get positive Will Levis. I want to get my Sophia Petrillo on. Picture it. October 29th, 2023. It's Titans-Oilers homecoming. Will Levis' first start. Those 4 touchdowns, 238 yards, and we're just like, this is the guy. That's the guy I want to see. That guy that
What happened to
played,
that guy?
he didn't care. And what I mean by that, people don't kill me when I say this. He just went out there.
He was playing free.
I'm just playing free. Now, expectations are on him. You are the man. You got everything on you.
So do you think the pick six comes from this is where you're throwing the ball right now?
I feel like there was.
Is there some of that?
I think there is some of that. Look for Hop on this play. Here they called the play in his ear and he said, look for Hop on this play. And he went. So there's a disconnect in his confidence from that first start in October to where we are now.
615-737-1045. Jim in Athens, Alabama. Jim, what's up?
Hey, I'm not even going to comment on the play on the field today. I just want to call out Titans fans for letting the Packers take over the stadium. It felt like it was an away game. I'm going to hang up and take your comments.
Packers fans were everywhere downtown from what I hear.
Well,
everywhere.
What, one, Nashville is a destination city now. 2, Packers, Cowboys, Pats, Steelers, travel everywhere. You can probably throw the Raiders in there. Some of the older old NFL teams.
Right, but to your point, I would argue that Nashville has climbed up the list. Like if fans get their schedule and they start looking at road games and like, what's the one road game we want to take this year? I think Nashville has moved way up that list with everyone.
Yep. You would think the California one used to be maybe Dallas, but Nashville's, we'd had to do like a fan poll, but I bet you Nashville's up there, but if not one, close to being number one as far
because
as.
it's new popular too. So like people are like, well, we got to go see what Nashville's doing because we keep hearing all this stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's go see what Broadway looks like.
Yep. And then they come here and you find all these tickets on SeatGeek and everything else. You might as well,
615-737-1045. Dre in Nashville. Dre, what's up?
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man. I just want to speak on this, man. First off, I want to give Malik congrats, man. He was out there cutting grass today, man.
Yeah, he was.
He was, man. He was cutting grass. And the thing I want to say about Will Levis is I feel like he's just playing uncomfortable. Once they get him comfortable, we'll see, like, better production. It's like those little drop-offs, man. It's like he's throwing it too hard to the running back. You know, I mean, he's playing like he's got someone in his ear. And one thing I want to say is Green Bay, they did a good job with creating one-on-one matchups, man. I mean, the Titans they had a lot of missed tackles today, and they were creating, like, real deal one-on-one matchups, man. And it was just, it's sad to see. I feel like they really exposed the defense, and the defense have a lot they need to work on. So I'm going to hang up and, one more thing. When is it enough excuses? You know, I like Levis, but when is there enough excuses? Because, it's like he's just brushing it off a little bit. But when is it enough excuses with Levis? That's all I have to say. Thank you, guys.
Again, I thought Levis played better today. Like, I think he's played better week 1 to week 2 to week 3. He did have the catastrophic mistake again that cost him 7 points. But in terms of Levis's game, 20 and keep in mind, he knows when he's under center or in shotgun that he's about to be in a car wreck. He knows it every play. He still completed 26 of 34 for 260 and 2 touchdowns.
If you look at that first drive, the confidence level he had, in the play fake, the ball he delivered to Wiley, the touchdown pass, there was a different kind of confidence he had early on, and then at late, you talk about hit on my left, I'm getting hit on my right, hitting my back, or hitting my stomach. He took some shots. So his confidence level, you can tell, kind of deteriorated as the game went on. You know, he made a bad play, the pick, and so it's just, if the guy
you could argue the pick, though, came late where he's trying to force the ball while under pressure.
True.
I mean,
he's a tough evaluation.
But
Levis is a tough
evaluation too now. He hears all the coaches on him. You can't turn the ball over. You costing us a win.
The pick 6 was the first quarter.
Yeah. But
the second interception was late.
Yeah.
But he's hearing all the same stuff. He's hearing all this conversation. Maybe not listening to us specifically, but all the reporters that are going to be in there Monday. Hey, what do you think of your performance so far? You do another pick 6. You caused your team. He's hearing all that stuff too.
You win as a team, you lose as a team.
Right.
And this is right now, as we sit here right now, this is a bad football team. It just is. I can't tell. Like, if it's storming outside and lightning going everywhere and it's flooding in the streets, I can't tell you it's sunny.
Right.
You know what I mean?
True.
Like, it just is. They're 0-3 and they're not a good football team right now.
They're not.
Does it mean they can't rebound and get better? No, But right now, as we sit here, this is a bad football team.
Yeah. I'm gonna do coach speak. They're not playing good football. They got a good football team.
Okay, guys. 615-737-1045. Thank you for the positivity. Let's go to Simon in Kentucky next up. Titans Talkback. There you go. Titans Talkback.
You got one a game.
Simon in Kentucky. There's my pick 6. Simon, what's up?
Okay, that was a little funny there. It's almost kind of like Levis and the surrender cover versus the Bears, but I'm just going to be brief with you guys.
All right.
Everything up to this game, this is what I have to say to the fans. This is more than Will Levis. This is more than Nicholas Petit-Fair being a turnstile. This is more than Mike Vrabel. This is everything that has been culminating since 2019. Every John Robinson miss on his picks, every Vrabel's inability to not change offensive coordinators when need to, every decision-making, every trade. Yes, I am still mad about the A.J. Brown trade. And everything has all led up to this. Are we bad? Yes. Are we struggling in decline? Are we in football purgatory? Yes. Can it get better? Yes. But is my patience starting to run thin on Will Levis? A slimmer. Because I want him to succeed. He played at the University of Kentucky. I'm 30 minutes southwest of Lexington, you know. Mm-hmm. I want him to succeed. But if he still keeps doing this, you got to go to Mason Rudolph sometime, just to get it through his skull.
Thank you, Simon.
It's going to be a long season.
I just think today is bigger than Will Levis.
Yeah.
Like, today is bigger than the Bears game where he just coughs it up.
Mm-hmm.
today is bigger than the Jets game where he flips it backward and they don't get 3 points and go up 10-0. Like today was more than him.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. And for everybody that now jumping off the Will Levis train, I wonder how many of those were the ones that were ready to throw Tannehill off that train. So
right, but like the fumble sack on NPF not getting a hand on, that's not on Levis.
No,
that's definitely not on Levis. You know, you look at it from you were talking about the Falcons game, right? So that game, he had 50% of his passes go for play action. And I'm a big proponent of play action for quarterbacks, regardless of if your run game's effective or not. So so a couple weeks ago, he said, well, it's hard to do play action because if your run game's not effective, it's less effective.
I've talked to people in the world of the NFL that say that is completely not true.
It's completely.
It doesn't matter if your run game is working or not.
Now, to be fair, unlike what Vrabel used to say, he is saying it's less effective, which is true. It is like maybe less effective,
but you still have to
it's still very effective.
Yes.
And here's what I'm saying is right here today, this was the most play action I believe they've ran through the 2 weeks. And Will Levis was 9 for 10, 11.8 yards per attempt, 90% completion percentage, obviously, 118 yards, and one of his touchdowns came under there. Now, he got sacked 3 times, so he had 13 dropbacks, but that was the way to run, and this was obviously working. And listen, he was only under pressure, and this only, to be honest, 38.6% of his dropbacks. But the problem is that 47.1% of the pressures turn into sacks. So, like, it's a high pressure to sack ratio, and that's, to me, you're not going to stop the sacks and you're not going to stop the pressure. But Will Levis is great at play action, and that was what they did at the Falcons game. 50% play action in the Falcons game. More play action. And, you know, I'll look at the under center shotgun. I'm willing to be open about that, but you have to do play action for Will Levis.
10 play action passes today.
9 for 10.
9 for 10.
But there were 3 additional sacks, so 13 dropbacks.
So 13 dropbacks.
And after the pick six, he completed 12 of his next 13 passes, too.
Yeah.
So that was a good bounce back for him on that deal. 615-737-1045. Scott in Brentwood. Scott, what's up?
Hey, guys. What's going on?
Yo.
How you doing, man?
Yeah, so kind of agree with some of the stuff you were saying earlier, but this goes down to, like, we got out-coached today. Both sides of the ball. When Callahan first got introduced, like one of his first press conferences, talking about being able to protect the quarterback and limit sacks and, help the offensive line. Talked about, like, moving the pocket, moving the launch point. Didn't see much of that. Will Levis, like, I feel like that, he just stuck in the pocket, which, he's a tough guy, but he makes those critical mistakes at certain points in the game, and that's who he is. That's who he was at Kentucky. Like, he is who he is, and I haven't seen much change in that. But, like, overall, like, it was. I put this loss on the coaches. Going forward today.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate you. All right. Titans Talk Back, presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need, visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com.
Yeah, everybody gets blamed. It's Oprah Winfrey right now. You get blamed. You get a blame. You get a blame. Everybody's getting a blame. Shoot, we even get a blame. Because especially me, because I played the half full game. We all get blamed. That right there, fans get blamed for selling their tickets to SeatGeek and having so many Packer fans in there. Everybody gets blamed today.
I like it.
You keep coming back to SeatGeek. It's time for the Kroger
Marketplace, SeatGeek, all of them.
Time for Kroger.
Keep your daggone seats.
Kroger sacks for cash today. The Titans had 3 sacks, courtesy of Jeffrey Simmons with 1, Kenneth Murray with 2. For the season, Kroger's donation to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee now stands at $1,400 every time the Titans sack the opposing team's quarterback. Kroger donates $100 to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee through its Zero Hunger, Zero Waste plan. Kroger is committed to ending hunger in our communities. They did a good job. LaFleur did from a system standpoint and a game plan standpoint of getting the ball out of Malik Willis's hand quickly.
Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
for sure.
A lot of things right in front of him, reads in front of him, took shots, calculated shots.
2.14 seconds per pass attempt for Malik Willis.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It was right now tied for third fastest in the NFL.
Credit LaFleur.
There you go.
Game plan last week, game plan this week.
For the record, Will Levis was 19th fastest, 2.57 seconds.
And again, because we're not in the film room, we're making our assumptions based off what we see on game day. But it seems like LaFleur really has a good sense of Malik Willis' skill set with the rest of the players on that roster and has utilized that these first 2 weeks. That's not to say that somebody's not going to figure him out and he's going to have a blow-up game, but these first 2 weeks, he had, 1 or 2 incompletions last week? Something crazy like 12.
2. He was 12 for 14
12 for 14 last week. And then what is he today?
13 of 19, 202 yards, a touchdown, 6 carries, 73 yards, and a touchdown. So 275 total yards for Malik Willis today.
If that's your backup, you're happy with those numbers, right? That's what you want from your backup.
Yeah.
Right? You would, right now, the Titans fans would take that from our daggone starter.
Yeah.
Right?
Right? And but again, Will Levis, 26-34, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, they had the 2 picks, the pick 6 costly, had the fumble, and again, the last pick, as you mentioned, Brent, that was, I got to try to make something happen, put a ball up there, try to make a play, and a little ill-advised. I think he looked the guy down. There was a man in center field who didn't have to stay center field because he saw where the ball was going, so made it easy for him to track that one. Talk about he had range. Well, the range was easy if I knew where he was going. He didn't look anywhere else. He didn't look me off or anything. But, I mean, that's being critical of Will Levis.
Yeah.
Right? But statistically, you look at it, he didn't play bad statistically. Well, he sacked 8 times. He was hurried even more than that. How many yards? He had 3 rushes for 12 yards. How many of those were designed as opposed to he had to scramble to get that? I think the long run he had at the end, there was like the long one 8. I think he was scrambled and he took a shot. But statistically, if we just look at numbers, just take the jersey name out of it, take the win-loss out of it, statistically you say, that quarterback had a decent day.
615-737-1045. Big Papa in Cedar Hill. Big Papa, what's up?
Thank you for setting my call.
Yeah, man.
I'm agreeing with what everybody says. It's blame on everybody.
Yeah.
But, I've been a season ticket holder since 99. It's pretty bad when you're sitting there tailgating in the south end zone and you look up coming across the pedestrian bridge, you don't see a blue person at all. So I'm calling out to simply the PSL holders, the ticket holders and everything. Look, if we're going to support the team, we can't expect the team to get out there and play like they should play when they don't have our support. And today they did not have our support. I mean, it was totally unnecessary for Green Bay to come in here and make 10 times more noise than we ever thought about making. So, we got to put the blame on everybody. Yes, we did get out coached. I think we got out coached. But I'm just putting a shout out to the PSL holders and the ticket holders for them to, show up.
Big Papa.
It's not all about money, okay?
Hey, Big Papa, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you said because I think that holds true. I think you got to hold true.
You notice as a player, don't you?
Yeah, as a player, it means something when your fans there. But let me ask you, as you have PSL for the past 24, 25 years, are you going to re-up yours for this next stadium?
I'm going to try to.
Okay.
Of course, I am of age, and so I've got to consider of what it's going to cost before I can actually invest for 2 or 3 years.
Right.
I want to. I'm the first one to admit it. But, I'm hearing horror stories. Me and my nephews and stuff, there's 8 of us that go, and we all got PSLs, okay? And I'm just hearing horror stories about what it's going to cost to buy them PSLs. I mean, so I'm all up for it. Yes, I am. Because like I say, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I've missed 1 ball game at Nissan Stadium since they started here. 1 ball game I've missed, and that's all I've missed. And so I'm as loyal fan as you can get. Okay.
Thank you, Big Papa.
Yeah,
appreciate you, man.
No problem.
All right, later, man. Tighten up, he said. 615-737-1045. Titans Talk Back. Brent Dougherty, Zach Lyons, Kevin Dyson with you until 6:30, walking you up till Sunday Night Football. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Titans Talk Back presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. Brent Dougherty, Zach Lyons, Dr. Kevin Dyson with you until 6:30, walking you up to Westwood One coverage of Sunday Night Football. The Higginbotham right call of the game. Higginbotham can be your business teammate by helping manage your risks, limit your liability, put a plan of action in place, and control your costs. Insurance plans for your company and your assets. It's all online at higginbotham.com. I guess I'll go with the tying touchdown. Packers go up 7-0. Will Levis and the crew march right down the field, and they score a touchdown. 10 plays, 70 yards, 5 minutes, 10 seconds off the clock. The touchdown pass to Nick Vinette. And on that drive, 4 completions to tight ends.
Yeah, tight ends were involved.
Yeah. I guess that's why they kept 5.
Even though only 3 are active.
Well, they used them all.
Yeah. They used every one of them, especially as the Nick Vinette breakout game.
Well, and Wiley only had 2 catches all season. Yeah. He came out and caught several balls.
Some big plays.
Yeah. 615-737-1045, 615-737-1045, Lee Company, Titans Talkback. And let's go to Pamela next up in Nashville. Pamela, what's up?
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I appreciate the comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Couple of things, and I want to agree with many of the callers, including Dr. Mason, as it relates to the fans and whether or not, they're going to support the new stadium. I've been a PSL holder for as long as I can remember. Goes back very, very long time. I was there today, last week, also. Too many other fans of the opposing teams are there. I get Big Chopper, whatever his name was, made the comment about making money off of your tickets. I think it's a disgrace that we're selling our tickets like that. I get you might not want to be there. I've eaten the cost of my tickets and parking passes in previous years because I couldn't make a game and I was not giving them away. So if I couldn't find someone that was a true Titans fan, I ate the cost of it. I wish more people would be like that, win, lose, or draw. I'm here for the Titans. My last comment is to the gentleman that made, and he's on your panel, that made the comment about dumbing down, I guess, the plans or the play calling from a league. I wish you could have chosen a more appropriate word, maybe simplified the play calling versus dumbing it down. That was so negative as it relates to that young man. I was really proud of his success today. I did not want him to beat us, but I wanted him to have a successful game just because of what has happened to him or what happened to him while he was here. And that's all I have to say about that. Thank
you, Pamela. Appreciate it. 615-737-1045. I don't remember us saying dummy it down.
I thought we did say simplifying. Maybe it was me, but I thought. But either way, I mean that's what NFL coaches
I said
too,
that they limited the playbook for him and made it simplified.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it's a matter of semantics. It's a matter of verbiage. That's all.
Yeah.
I think the context is about the same as what we were trying to illustrate. Was they pretty much reduced the playbook to help a guy who has only been there
for 3 weeks. That's why we said that.
Right.
Yeah. 615-737-1045. Thank you, Pamela. At 3HL1045 is the Twitter account for the 3HL show, which is on tomorrow from 3 till 6 o'clock. Zach and Blaine, maybe I'll get done with this at some point. Zach and Blaine will be on from 1 to 3. Buck Rising and Lucas from 10 to 1, and RK Dub 6 to 10. Breaking all of this down. Will Levis working the pocket well again today, at least. And being sacked 8 times and being hurried all these times. He didn't flip it anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
He just ate it.
Listen, the only time he actually got hit, according to PFF, is when he took the sack, so he didn't take a lot of unnecessary quarterback hits. I mean, I guess that's a positive. I don't know. But Jalen Duncan was responsible for 2 of the 4 fourth quarter sacks. It's just
wow.
Yeah,
he gave up 2 sacks. He wasn't even in there that long.
I mean,
NPF got pulled when he gave up the sack that led to the fumble.
At some point, like, I know there's a lot of people out there that are wanting to blame Rain Carthon for a lot of this and wanting to blame, pass protection.
I don't know
and John
how you
Robinson.
can blame Rain Carthon, honestly.
Yeah, it's tough. Like,
this is maybe thing. Like, you can't fix, like, depth and things like that. Like,
could you have gone into the offseason with a better alternative than just hoping that NPF, when he comes back, from his injury, that he's good?
Show me an offensive lineman you can get in the offseason.
Yeah,
Show me one. Please do it.
Morgan Moses got traded for. Now Morgan Moses got injured, but they traded what, like a 6th-round pick for Morgan Moses? And I mean, that's just, listen, I'm not saying but that's hindsight's 2020.
So many other things. So if you want to say maybe like they should have addressed that instead of
maybe
inside linebacker or cornerback or wide receiver.
I guess that's where it's kind of at. Like the offensive line, you got to fix the offensive line, and they did a lot of good. And I get the idea that the prior regime invested a 3rd-round pick. You've seen some good things. You got Bill Callahan that provides you a little bit of runway.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like, to me, it's like Traylon Burks. Stop putting Traylon Burks in. Put NWI in. I mean, at this point, you can't put Traylon Burks in. You can't rely on him. I get that maybe some of this is out of his control, but he just doesn't have that fight in him, it feels like, on the field. He doesn't he dropped a really easy pass today.
2 targets, caught one of them.
Yeah, and so, like, I'm just kind of done with the Traylon Burks experiment at this point. If we're going to say that John Robinson is bad and the owner's going to blame John Robinson for the issues that we have now, which is, listen, fully agree. Stop playing John Robinson players, and we got to figure out the solution. And I don't think the solution is on this team. I think the solution is in free agency. I think you go get Chris Hubbard. He's familiar with Bill Callahan. He knows the terminology from their time in Cleveland. He played really good football, steady football for you last year. There you go.
I'm going to push back on the John Robinson thing just a little bit, because I know for a fact that some of those draft picks were Mike Vrabel and some were John Robinson. They weren't all on JR. I know that.
Well, and that's kind of how it goes back and forth, in the room and everything. The coach wins some, the GM wins some, and some regards and stuff. But like, we got to figure out. We can't just keep going with. You can't do what Vrabel did. And Vrabel and them in the prior years just wrote it out with Dennis Staley. They just wrote it out with Andre Dillard. And then when Andre Dillard sucked, they brought in, Jalen Duncan, who equally was just as bad. You got to find at least a veteran option, because Jalen Duncan is obviously not ready. NPF just can't. He just doesn't have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Joseph Bonanno, who is the producer of 3HL, just texted, just past a Titans theme SUV. Painted white and blue with Titans logo decals on the doors and windows, Titans flags, and a We Run the South decal on the back window. Broken down, missing a wheel on the side of the interstate. And if that doesn't encompass this team, I don't know what does.
It's symbolic right there. That's symbolic.
615-737-1045.
Whose draft pick was Big Jeff? John? Robert? JR?
That one was JR,
right,
from what I understand.
What my guess, and then I can, who about?
Isaiah Wilson?
Isaiah Wilson.
Mike Vrabel, from what I understand.
So my point is, the draft.
That's a mind-blowing thing right there.
Yeah.
It's so, I mean, like, I know JR gets the pushback for everything, but just keep in mind there was kind of a divide there.
Yeah, and some players meet other schemes better than others. Like, you see guys leave and go somewhere else and have a phenomenal career, and vice versa. They go somewhere else and they just like, oh, he's terrible when he's the same guy he was the year before. I think if you start getting into what Rand is doing after his first year, and when he had the keys to the car, I think you got to give the man a nod. I thought he did some incredible things this offseason.
In one offseason?
Yeah.
That was truly his offseason?
Yeah. So you got to give him that. I think there were so many things that were wrong with the organization as far as the play on the field the 2-3 years previous, that we were hoping for somewhat of an overnight success. I think we've just been starving for a consistent winner for the last, let's call it 4 years, for 3.5 years. And I think that's why we're even having this conversation about Amy Adams pulling trigger quickly. Do we get rid of Real Levis? Petit Frere, is he ready? Because remember, a couple of years ago when he came in, we were like, oh, okay, he might be all right. Then he got hurt, and then it seems like he's regressed a little bit since.
Real quick, you said before the break, positive about Will Levis that you saw?
That's why I talked about the October 29th game, 2023.
Yes, okay.
4-touchdown game.
Yeah.
And I felt like that positive was he played free.
Yeah.
He just threw the ball up there and was one around.
So he wasn't overcoached at that point.
I don't think so. I
It was
think
like let it rip.
Let it rip.
Which is what they used to tell Mariota, and I know that one for a fact, and Mariota just wouldn't.
Yeah.
Wouldn't.
Let it go. Will just played. And I don't know. We can get into that whole another segment about that alone, but I think to Zach's point, it's hard to be successful in any level of football if your offensive line is struggling.
Definitely true. It starts there in the trenches, for sure. We learn that in the SEC every week, that's for sure. Titans Talkback presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. More of your reaction, 615-737-1045. Titans fall to the Green Bay Packers. They are now 0-3, 30-14, the final score. More of your reaction next. This is Titans Talkback presented by Lee Company. Again, Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. Titans Talkback presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. We'll be here until 6:30. Westwood One coverage of Sunday Night Football coming up. And we will leave you at that point at 6:30. Packers beat the Titans 30-14, getting your reaction. Huge Packers crowd, too. A lot of people having a problem with that. It's nothing new.
No, but I was very surprised it was that loud that early because every time, we're on a delay here because we're watching YouTube TV, so we hear Coach Mack and them first and their reaction to the play here in the studio, and they'd be like, Willis back to pass, and then you hear the crowd cheering and going crazy, and I'm like, oh, here comes the interception, and it's like, Jaden Reed 40 yards down the field. But I will say this is why I wanted to keep Malik Willis around is because of what you saw. And I get that what they're doing is like a one-read system with a lot of motion and all this kind of stuff. It's a little bit different than – they use a lot of motion in Jordan Love's backup or dropbacks and everything. But in the end, I wanted to keep Malik Willis around because we saw the progress he made, quite a considerable leap under Brian Callahan in the preseason. And if you're – the keeping 5 tight ends has now become very much in question because they have been inactive for the last 3 weeks where you could have had a Malik Willis. Sure, you got a 7th round pick, but that's only if you don't feel that he doesn't bring you any value. And I said that last year, or I said in the preseason, you keep Malik Willis because he could be your quarterback 2 next year. Heck, the way it looked right now, you could be quarterback 1 next year. But it's just, I think that is something I'll think we kind of look back on and think, man, Rand and Brian Callahan didn't make the right decision there. That's just me.
I can see the why behind it.
Yeah.
I think Mason has shown he's a quality backup National Football League for sure. And there were still some question marks about Malik Willis as far as his ability to be a quality backup, let alone a starter in this league. But again, his Callahan sample size is 3 preseason games and some practices. And of course, a handful of film I'm sure that he's watched to make that decision ultimately. But it's amazing what happens to a guy where he gets to a place where they have confidence in him and they fit what they do to his strengths. And he had confidence in his ability, and he went out there and he's played like that in 2 weeks. Now, that doesn't mean that somebody's going to figure him out and he's going to have a 3-interception game or worse. But for right now, how they're doing things, how he's playing, it makes you wonder what would have happened had they done that. And then it also makes you wonder, are we trying to make Levis, like you talk about Joe Burrow, and fit this offense, make him fit the offense as opposed to fitting the offense to what he can do and where he's at right now in year 2.
That's kind of what it feels like. And I get it because Blaine talked about it on our show. He's like, you just run your offense and he either pretty much sinks or swims. Doesn't mean you don't help him out. You don't add extra blockers here. You call plays within his wheelhouse. But you got to find out if he can fit your system.
Right.
And if he's going to have trouble, and I don't know necessarily that he had trouble today. And listen, everybody's going to get mad over the pick 6, and I get it. It was him staring down the wide receiver, maybe being a tick late on his throw. It's something that we can look at the all-22. But at the end of the day, those are mistakes that the coach can live with, right? That's what he has gone on record and said. So I think that Will Levis had I wouldn't say a great game. And again, I wouldn't say that even his progress from week 1 to week 2, week 3 is acceptable timeline for improvement. You're only improving 5% every week. I don't think that's going to help his case or help this team. He's going to have to improve, especially going into the Monday Night Football game. He needs to improve a lot. And it needs to be a 15, 20% jump.
Unless you look at it this way, if it's 5% per game, then that's 15%. And let's look 5 more games down the road, and then he's 40% better. We're still talking about 12 games, right? What did you say? A quarterback is beyond his rookie season when he starts 20?
Yeah, you're game 20.
Is what players say?
My pushback to saying just run your offense and see he can fit into it is, one, time is of the essence. We don't have that kind of time. But I'll use the example of Lamar Jackson. If that was the philosophy they used with Lamar Jackson, would he be the Lamar Jackson that we know? If we just said, you come in, you're going to run this West Coast Roman offense, who's the coordinator that year? But anyway, whoever that coordinator was in Baltimore at that time, and you're going to fit into this box and you're going to run this offense. I want to see if you can do it. Would he be as successful as he's been? He wouldn't. They have catered that system and that programming to a guy they invested a draft capital on and saying, what can we do to make sure this guy's successful? He hasn't had like Megatron type receivers and guys outside. He's had some pretty good guys. Hollywood's pretty good and things like that, but he hasn't had like the perennial Pro Bowler receiver. Now tight end, he's had a Pro Bowler tight end, but did he make the tight end a Pro Bowler, or was that tight end a Pro Bowler? You know what I mean? So what I'm getting at that is I understand that aspect of you got to see what you have, and is he a guy that can run your offense? But at the same time, I feel like some of the smartest coordinators in this league, LaFleur being one of them, are guys that say, here's what his strengths are. What do we do with it that complement his strengths? And then we add little components here and there that are what I want to do. But we got to see what he can do first.
So Levis has had he's had 3 games with catastrophic plays, right? And how do you eliminate that?
Well, the first 2, that's not coaching. That's him.
Yeah.
Right?
Selfish competitiveness.
Right. You're trying to make a play, and that's him. The second one, I just think that was a late delivery. It was a coverage. He squatted and just he probably thought 3-step stop. He didn't backpedal. He just squatted, and he had coverage behind him, and he just, I hope he don't throw this one, because if he does, it's a pick. And sure enough, he threw it. It was a pick. So, and that's him not recognizing what's behind him in that secondary. He just threw that ball out there. He's probably thinking, I got a quick throw and I'm gonna throw it out there. And if you're gonna throw that, it's got to be gone now. But also recognize the coverage and what they're in. So those 3, the first 2, that's not coaching. The second one, yes, you got to look. Where's your safeties? Where's your hook read? Where's your number 1 defender? Like all the different things that go in coverages, that triangle of coverage. Where was everybody? That's coaching. The other part of it is like you got to keep harping on protect the football. Don't do bonehead plays. Just take the sack in this situation. Don't try to flip it to a guy as you're going down. Like stuff like that. That's on him. That's on him. He has to take the onus on to get better at and not do.
615-737-1045. Ryan is in Martin, Tennessee. Ryan, what's up?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I just want to start off with I feel like us as a fan base hurt the team before the game ever started. Felt like I was in Lambeau there. It was crazy with all the green just all over everywhere. We got to do better than that. We don't need the fair weather fans. We got to come out and support this team. And then on the drive home, I've been able to digest the game, and I'm not ready to write off Will Levis. I'm not ready to write off the team. That first interception was on him, but I feel like the line is the biggest problem through the rest of the game. I don't think it matters if Levis is back there, Rudolph, or if Willis is there. We'd still have the same outcome, maybe even worse. But my biggest disappointment for me was the defense's inability to get off the field on the 3rd and long, especially right there before half. I thought, man, we got them right where we need them. Defense stop them. We can get the ball, try to score before half, get the ball back, get some momentum. And it seemed like every time they were able to get a big play on 3rd and long and make it look bad. But appreciate y'all. We've got to get a win on Monday night and turn the season around. Tighten up.
Thank you. Malik Willis had at least 2 big throws on 3rd and longs.
Yeah,
to pick up first downs.
The
he played
defense
really well.
Well, I know everybody is always hot to talk about the quarterback and everything, but this defense, like I said, man, it was so disappointing. They just couldn't generate pressure even on blitzes like this. This offensive line for the Packers had their numbers, and this is where not having a true number 1 edge rusher is kind of like hurting this team. Harold Landry's good, but he's a more of an effort guy, not a game record guy.
I didn't even notice him.
Right. And then if you don't notice Harold Landry, you're not going to definitely not notice Arden Key. So it's just like they don't.
I actually did notice him.
they just don't have anybody.
Remember the play that he pushed the tight end back into the ball carrier for like a loss of 6? That was a hell of a play by Arden Key. But here's the thing. Like I didn't think so the Packers ran the ball against Indianapolis 53 times for 261 yards. I didn't think there was any way they would come in here and have run success. Big Jeff said nobody runs on the Tennessee Titans, all these things. They give up 37 carries, 188 yards on the ground. That really surprised me. Now, 73 of those were from the quarterback. So outside of that number, it's 31 for 115, which is more in line.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here's what happened. Malik Willis came in here and shredded the Titans defense. He
Especially
did.
that first half.
Yep.
And a lot of the runs from Josh Jacobs and them came in the second half, late in the game. I mean,
and there were 6, 7, 8 yard carries that presented second and short.
Titans defense played in the right what Matt LaFleur wanted. Like, that is what he wanted. He wanted the zones. He wanted to be able to eat them up. And, he wants to get Christian Watson on Roger McCreary. Like, those are the matchups that he is wanting to get. And they played right into it. And that's just something you can't do in an entire game. I do want to talk about something about the system. So and maybe this is a question for someone much smarter than the three of us in this room that know the intricacies of offensive systems and everything. Liam Cohen was the offensive coordinator for quote unquote Levis's best year, which still wasn't great, in college. And then they went to Rich Scangarello, and then he came in here, and we saw what he did last year in Tim Kelly's system. Well, Liam Cohen comes from the Rams system. Zach Taylor, also from the Rams system, which also Brian Callahan is most recently from. So are we seeing an offense that is like the Rams that should benefit and he should have familiarity with? Or is this more of a system that, it's a little bit more progression based or something like that we're just not missing? And maybe it's something from his prior stops as a quarterback coach. I'm just real curious. I don't know if you know the answer, Dyson, but just something that's kind of floating around in my head. Like, what is this system compared to what the Rams run? I know there's a lot of 11 personnel here, and of course Liam Cohen's over at the Bucs, and they run a lot of 11 personnel over there, which is 3 wide receiver sets. So it just seems like this should be a system that benefits Will Levis that he has familiarity with, but doesn't seem like he's very comfortable in.
What I haven't seen from this system compared to the others is crossers. I haven't seen, because if you recognize a lot, even today with Green Bay, there are a lot of crossers, and they went across from one end of the field to the other, and he just comes into the eyesight coming from left to right or right to left.
And it's a no-read thing.
And it's a no-read thing. He's just dumping it off. And then another thing, like with the Rams in particular, with their offense, what I like what they do with Kupp in particular is they run like a lot of option routes, and they get him if he has a free release, he also has a two-way go, so he can square up a guy depending on what the defense is. He can go out, turn in, turn out, and it's just a report between him and that quarterback. You get a feel. Now that's Cooper Kupp, who's a phenomenal route runner. In this league, and then they use a lot of speed cuts and motions and things of that nature. What I haven't seen a whole lot, you saw a little bit, is motions to identify coverage for one, to get guys free release, guys doing vertical, like inside release, maybe a diagonal release and then vert back out, stuff like that, where you can create some passing lanes. I haven't seen all that yet. Right now, I'm seeing straight up vertical game, run straight, run your post, run straight, run your dig, a few crossers here and there. I haven't seen very much option routes where you got a guy who can win one-on-run. Like I figure Ridley would be a guy, you put him in a slot one-on-one, give him a two-way go, he's going to figure some stuff out. But that's my opinion. And then also just utilizing the crossers, utilizing guys' speed or using the defense against them, making guys have to cipher through traffic and through all the stuff through that mesh point and things like that. Now, again, this is still the genesis of the offense. I still think Callahan is still trying to figure out what can I do with this guy, and that I could feel comfortable that he's going to be successful in. I think there is and again, this is me being devil's advocate for him, and so people that are listening, they can be mad for a second, but I think he's still trying to figure out Will Levis's ability within his offense. And to Blaine's point is, can he handle this? Can he handle adversity? Is he going to make the right reads? Is he going to be able to put balls in the right kind of position, back shoulder, over the right eye or the left eye, depending on the position of the corner. Does he have those abilities in his bag? Can he make the different types of throws that these quarterbacks have? So people can say what they want to say about Tom Brady. Couldn't run, arm strength. If you put him in arm strength through his time in the National Football League, he'd probably be middle to the bottom half of the quarterback tree because he didn't have the greatest arm strength. But what he did was he had all the throws. He had great pocket presence. He knew what the defense were trying to do against him, and he had all the throws in his bag. He threw it back shoulder. He threw it over the top. He put it in the corner. He put it where only his man could get the ball. People like Dan Marino couldn't run, couldn't move, but he had all the throws in his bag. And so that's where you see a lot of young quarterbacks become okay to good to really good. Patrick Mahomes, he was good. He became really good. He got all the throws in his bag. Now he puts in the corner, back shoulder. He got all the throws in his bag. Tua is on that way, except for the injuries. But he's a guy I watch who has a lot of the same thing. He don't have great arm strength, but he can put the ball where he wants it, and that's a big thing. And I think that's where you want to see.
He's a master of the RPO too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, master.
And that's where you want to see Will can get to. And I that's why I push back on that a little bit. What Blaine said is because if he doesn't have it by now, what does he have? And we need to take advantage of that because time is of the essence.
Yeah. By the way, the King just scored. He's got 110 rush yards against the Dallas Cowboys and 2 touchdowns. 28-6.
Don't say that out loud because everybody talking about got rid of the King.
Tight today, 11 carries, 33 yards. All right, more of your reaction coming up. 615-737-1045, 615-737-1045. Titans Talk Back presented by Lee Company. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Titans Talkback presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. Kellum Science Behind the Stat presented by Kellum Stem Cell. From autism to arthritis, your body, your cells, your solution. Call 615-850-4415 for your consultation. That's 615-850-4415. The Kellum Stat today. Tyjae Spears, the Titans' fastest ball carrier, hitting one play, 19.13 miles per hour, according to Next Gen Stats. I mean,
did he even have room to get going like that?
These 20-mile-per-hour guys, man, just running through a school zone, get flagged and pulled over. I mean, you could run that fast. I can't even imagine. Back in the day. I can't even imagine.
Just downhill. That was about it.
By the way, we started to talk about this on 3HL, and I forgot to. But back in the day when Oklahoma and Nebraska were running that option, and a lot of schools did that, they would put a crown in the middle of the field, and like you couldn't see the other sideline from one sideline.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to be running downhill on the option. Isn't that funny?
Big old crowds on the field. I thought it was like for water flow or something.
That's what they would say.
Yeah. But
do you still see those big crowds?
No.
Because everybody wants to go same direction. 615-737-1045. Titans fall 30-14. Getting your reaction. Nolan in Nashville next up. Nolan, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Yo.
Yeah, so I just wanted to call and weigh in, and I just want to be honest. You know, I've been following the Titans during our season for probably the past two seasons, right? A lot of moves been made, and I like the team, actually. I like the team we have. I like the players we have. I think Rand did a good job. But, you know, something's missing. Something's not clicking. I think we all know that. I don't think the players per se is the issue. I don't think Rand is the issue. I think Rand done his job so far.
Yeah.
I don't think he's done. I do think the quarterback situation was a mistake. It wasn't handled properly. Now, I think I heard somewhere where drafting Levis was Miss Amy's decision. Did that come from, up?
It came from Charles Robinson of Yahoo Sports. Said it was ownership driven. So whatever that means, that's a very nebulous term. But
yeah, that's on him. I did not hear that.
Right. Well, with that being said, that would say that's over, you know, Rand and coach's head pretty much. Hey,
that was also a different kind of time in the organization where there was some overlap in terms of what those guys were doing. Like now it's clear in how everything is led.
Yeah. Okay, so with that being said, I do think the administration or the ownership, if they made that decision, you know, some of these decisions do fall on them. And, you know, so some of that accountability, or maybe a lot of that accountability might fall in their lap, you know. Now, whether they want to hold themselves accountable or not, that's a whole nother story. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One more thing I want to say. And I know y'all probably tired of hearing this, but how Malik Willis was handled and, continues to be handled. Not saying nothing about you guys in particular. You know, there are other, you know, sports shows or critics that's local around here, you know. They kind of, you know, some kind of bashed him a little bit. Didn't want to give him his respect due, his credit and, you know, and things of that nature. I just want to say, man, Malik has handled this situation like a class act. I think a lot of local guys, whether it's, you know, with the ball club or whether it's, you know, just local news critics, man, you got to look at yourselves, man, you know what I'm saying, because it reflects the Titans organization. And so if that guy goes to a whole nother team and produces, you see what I'm saying? You know, putting up more yards, he's doing a good job. Period. Point blank and period. Football is a team sport. You can't take anything away from this guy and say, hey, well, it was the team as a whole couldn't stop him, whatever. Hey, the quarterback is the leader of the team. period. That's across the board. And he led his team to to wins the past 2 weeks. And he put up more points than anybody else that the Titans played this regular season so far. So that's all I have, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All I can speak for is myself. And so my opinion about Malik Willis coming from me was, based on what I saw at training camp, the guy has improved dramatically from year 1 to year 3. Mm-hmm. What I've heard from people that I talk to in the NFL world is that there was no chance he was going to win the second job over Mason Rudolph, that they were light years different. Now, what has Matt LaFleur gotten out of him? I mean, near perfection.
Yeah.
So he has played well. Sometimes you're right. Sometimes you're not.
Yeah. Well, I to me, this is my opinion on it. I feel like they were trying to make him almost like a Tannehill clone and try to use that veteran skill sets as the example of this is how the offense flows. Because at that point when they drafted him too, Tannehill was pretty successful. He was leading the league in red zone efficiency, all the different things, and he kind of took a dip shortly thereafter. So I think they were trying to find another guy to potentially be the starter, but make him a Tannehill 2.0, as opposed to what are your skills? Let him be Malik, and let's do what your skills suggest we do. I even go back to Mariota. Mariota was successful his rookie year because they were doing zone, like RPO flash fakes, hitting a guy right in front of him, similar to what he did at Oregon.
One read and run.
And then,
that was it.
Yeah, and then you start putting all these other things on, trying to make him into Tom Brady. That wasn't his game. And so I think we get guys for their talent, and then we say we can coach them up to be.
It's an ego thing.
Yeah, we can coach them up to be what we want them to be. And I'll say this. I've left and gone playing other places and had play a former team. When they came to Carolina, Derek Mason has done, Blaine has done it. A lot of guys have done it. Mac
Samari.
Whether we say it or not, we may not. You may not hear it on the radio. You may not hear. It means something. Especially if, they let you go or they traded you or whatever. And in this situation with Malik, when they let him go for another guy and he goes back there and he wins a game after being there for a week and a half and then comes back and you're the opponent, and he probably still has his house here. Still got everything. Still paying a mortgage here in Nashville. And I'm going to show you. And I mean, you say what it is. He was extra motivated today, whether he will admit it or not, and rightfully so. Because you want to prove your worth in this league where your career, you don't last for long. It's a short window of opportunity. And if you're fortunate enough to play beyond 4, 5, 6 years, man, that's a small window of people that get to do that. And here he is showing you that he belongs in the National Football League, given the right circumstances.
Let's go to Brian in Nashville next up. Brian, what's up?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yo.
Hey, man.
I'm glad I got on after someone that's only been a Titans fan for 2 years. Because I'm born and raised in Nashville. I think this whole season and these first 3 games is a perfect example for a Titans fan that's been a long-time Titans fan. We fired a coach and hired a coach, an offensive coordinator at Cincinnati that never even called plays. Very Titans of us. We have a quarterback, 4th quarterback we drafted in a row that's a athletic, non-accurate quarterback. We wonder why we can't succeed. It's just the same old Titans. I mean, our drafting on offense is absolutely ridiculous. You guys got a guy right there on the radio that everyone knows if we drafted Randy Moss in front of him, we'd probably have at least one Super Bowl. It's insane. Like, it's sad what we are. And, real Titans fans knows they're frustrated. It's the same old shit every time. And,
okay. Can't curse on the radio. Automatic drop. So, sorry about that. I get the frustration for sure.
Yeah.
I understand it. There's so many teams looking for that next quarterback, and they continue to suck. It's not that easy to find it.
And look, there's some Brian Callahan issues here, right? We were talking about it off air, and this was a good segue because he talks about it, right? First off, let me say this. I don't think there's an issue with the scheme. I don't think there's an issue with the play design. And I think if the stats tell you, the advanced stats of guys getting open at a high rate, at a lot better than whatever they were under Tim Kelly, Todd Downing, or those two guys. So that's just a fact. The problem is what we talked about at the top of the show is that you have two rookie coaches that are calling plays, even though they are very experienced.
Three, really.
Yeah. They're two guys calling plays for the very first time.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a lack of feel on the offensive side of the ball for game flow and sequencing and rhythm. And that's something that's unfortunately going to probably be learned in time. It's too early to pass the baton to someone else, right? And for play calling and stuff like that. I mean, obviously Brian Callahan has some play calling. It was very nebulous about what he actually did over for the Cincinnati Bengals, but it's going to be a learning curve for him.
Yeah.
But I can definitively say that there is like a sequencing, a feeling issue about how game flow goes, but I don't think there's a scheme and play design issue.
To your point, it kind of like it's working hand in hand. There's the confidence that he's going to make the right read, the right throw, and get us out of a bad play into a good play. There's that as a play caller, right?
Yeah.
And then there is the play caller getting you in the right situation, the right play, the right time, the right preparation. So it does go hand in hand. And to your point, there does not seem to be a flow to it. And is it the chicken or the egg concept?
Yeah.
Like, is it because the quarterback is still trying to figure things out, or is it the play caller still trying to figure things out? And I think it's a combination of the two somewhat. And I think until they figure this thing out. Now, I'm not there every day. I don't know if they're actually sitting in the meetings together, or I'm sure they are. But does he go through the tape and say, what plays do you like this week? What do you feel like? We've heard other quarterbacks in the National Football League. That's what they do with their play caller. They say, you know what? I like these 5 passes. I like these 3 or 4 play actions. I think we'll be good with these runs. And okay, let's see. And then I like these, and they put the plan together. I don't know if Will has enough equity in the veteran tank to even ever have that conversation. And then I also know as a first-year head coach, I'll say this: if I'm gonna go down, I'm going down my way. So I'm going to do it my way. At least I can know if it didn't work, I did it my way, as opposed to trying to do it everybody else's way. Because if you try to do it everybody else's way, you're bound to fail anyway. So it's just a matter of finding that balance of what you can and cannot do, what I can and cannot call, and mesh and put that thing together the best you can against the opponent that's in front of you. And then you can have the greatest plan in the whole wide world. If that guy on that left side doesn't block, or that guy on the right side doesn't block, and then 3 in the middle don't block, it don't matter.
I mean, the pass plays specifically were working, and you're talking about 8 sacks, right?
Yeah.
On top of that, 2 coverage sacks, 1 on the quarterback, rest on the offensive line, right?
Yeah.
So we could put 2 on the play calling, or the play design. The others are on the individual players, and what if those 5 plays flipped on its head? What if instead of having 8 sacks, you had 3 sacks? That also lets you open up other plays in the playbook. What can Will Levis do? There's a lot to it. And right now, what I feel like we've seen these last 3 weeks is a rookie play caller, a bad quarterback, and a bad offensive line.
Yeah.
And when you have 3 of those things together and none of them are clicking, it ain't going to look good. And the one time it clicked was the opening drive today. And I thought that was the best the offense looked. But you got to remember that past 2 scripted drives for the previous 2 games did not look good. And this is just a fact it's just a fact.
That's what we see in front of us.
Titans Talkback presented by Lee Company. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Titans Talkback with you until 6:30 on 104.5 The Zone. It is Titans Talkback presented by Lee Company. We'll be with you until 6:30, 615-737-1045, getting your reaction. Titans lose 30-14 at Miami next Monday night. We'll talk about that game in just a little bit. Let's go to Brad and Mount Juliet, who is next up on Titans Talkback. Brad, what's up?
Hey there. I'll try to be quick, and I thank you for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I'm going way back to when Big Papa was on there, and you were asking the question about, are you going to support the team with the new stadium? And here's what I'll tell you. I've been with them since '99, 4 seats, my wife 2, and myself 2. My partner has 4. And I've upgraded over the years, been on the visitor side most of the time. And most recently this year, I moved over to the home team side on a lower level, and I was very pleased with it. I'm not going to get into the specifics when I went for my tour of the new stadium possibilities, but here's what I'll say. I was disappointed. I'm probably still going to remain a Titan season ticket holder, and I'm a retired senior businessman that sold out our business. I was in this kind of the collectible business, so I'm a little bit familiar with it, but I just was a little bit disappointed when I went that the folks representing, they didn't know what I had paid for my tickets, and I didn't know because I just upgraded. Then, some of the options that are available aren't appealing to me because I've sat in suites and I've eaten the food at the Eagles Stadium and the Super Bowls and stuff like that, and it's decent, but it's not an attractive part of the game to me. It was so disappointing today to see all these fans come in. And I felt like, in looking at the way the seats are going to be distributed, the consideration, 25 years, number of seats that you have, 4 or 5 or 8 seats, whatever you got. And then knowing that these are the options, the first things out of my mouth, and I sincerely believe this, and I'm still committed to this, is I feel very strong about the current ownership, Ms. Strunk and their family. I feel like they're sincere people. I feel like they're good for the national community, and I think they're good for the team.
Yep.
But having said all that, I will tell you that when they called me back and asked me what I wanted to do, I said, I'm going to pass. And as many of the friends that I have, have met with them, have done the same thing, and I said, my feeling is I would be better off to play the game. And it's like, what's that mean? Well, I'll buy the tickets on the open market later. I'll just buy them on the open market later, and I'll get the seats that I want. I'll pay the price that I want. And I will continue to do like I've done in the past and my family's done in the past. We do not sell our tickets to opposing teams. We give them away. If we got to go home for a Christmas in Missouri or whatever, we do that.
Okay.
And we'll continue to do that. But here's the thing. I told them then what's going to happen, I'm afraid, and I hope doesn't happen, is that, and I moved from the visitor side to the home side. And that was good because, man, first week I only saw a couple of Jet fans in our row. Okay, that's great. But this week wasn't the case. And what I feared was going to happen is started before the new stadium is even opened. I think people are saying, hey, Nashville's a good place to come. This is what it's going to be. I'm going to sell my tickets. And it's a shame, and I hope that doesn't happen. I hope I'm terribly wrong.
Okay, Brad.
I love the Titans.
I appreciate the phone call, man. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that changes with winning. I will say, he said he's going to be quick.
I hate to see what slow was.
love you, Brad. I appreciate the concern, certainly, because I know a lot of people are up against that decision. The Preds have done an incredible job in terms of geofencing that building. I don't know how you do it with that one, though. I really don't know how you do it with Nissan Stadium. But I don't know. This is just listen, if you lived in Green Bay, the weather sucks, you eat cheese all the time and drink beer, like, what do you have to do? You look at the road schedule like, Nashville, hell yeah, we're going. Let's go. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you run into that with every city you play that they want to come here. There were tons of Jets fans here.
I think places like L.A.,
Las Vegas,
probably
Miami.
Miami. New York to a certain
How many
degree.
Titans fans are going to go to Miami? Like,
Right.
I mean,
I wouldn't. It's going to be too damn hot. Like, you think it's hot here? Hey, listen, it's hot today, but I've been to Miami Stadium. There is no shade coverage.
I know a lot of people that go to Vegas for games just to,
for sure.
You know, make a whole trip out of it. You know what I'm saying? But I'll say this. I think it's going to be a business decision for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And the franchise has been around how many years now?
I mean, they've been here for 25.
You've been here for 25, so 85 years-ish around there. The franchise.
Oh, you mean for the Oilers and everything?
Yeah, been to one Super Bowl.
Well, it was an NFL championship. It was. Yeah. Super Bowl
one
here.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was just, I thought you were talking about the old team.
Yeah, so one
My
Super
bad.
Bowl. It's just, I get it. You know, and again, that first Super Bowl was the genesis of the team, new stadium. It just, boom, here it is. You couldn't keep your PSLs. People were trying to buy them.
That 99 season when y'all were first in there, 8-0.
And we just went ahead in the Super Bowl.
It was crazy. It was like an SEC environment in there.
It was.
Right?
It was crazy.
Like it was a cross-pollination of a bunch of SEC fans that are like, oh, we got an NFL team here. Let's go.
Voted the loudest outdoor stadium in the NFL year after year for the longest time.
Yep.
Seems so long ago.
It was. It really was.
It really is.
Look at the Grays.
It's still the loud today, bro. Hey, I bet today was pretty loud. It was just all Green Bay fans.
Yeah, it was. All right, 615-737-1045. Peyton in the Borough. Peyton, what's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so my biggest thing is the offensive line struggles. I don't know many quarterbacks in the National Football League that would have, very, very much or if any level of success with the offensive line struggles that we've shared over the last few years. Today, 8 sacks. Last week, in our home opener against the Jets, Levis was pressured on 60% of his dropbacks. Obviously people are going to throw the names out. Oh, well, Patrick Mahomes. Oh, well, Josh Allen. But those guys have their flaws too. And it doesn't seem like on a week-to-week basis those guys are dealing with the defender dead in their face, after a second and a half of having the ball in their hand. And there's other gripes too. L'Jarius Sneed, haven't seen much from him. As long as we're on the topic of productivity and play calling and Levis's, faults over the past few weeks, there's other guys that we've brought into the organization in this offseason that I haven't seen produce, personally, watching the games. I'm not sold out on Will Levis. I really like Will Levis, and there was a comment earlier about, only seeing a 5% progression. I think it's hard to see a progression when a guy doesn't get the opportunity to get the ball out of his hands.
I mean, that's a fair point. Eyeball test, I didn't see very many clean pockets today again, but when I did, it felt like he did deliver the football accurately.
Well, he had 34 chances to deliver the ball, and he did it 26 times.
Mm-hmm.
We can still see progress even without the pressure.
Thank you, Peyton. Appreciate it. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the other thing I was going to say too, there was the mention of the first drive that we had, and it was a very successful drive down the field. I don't think Levis has just given us flashes of his ability, and he also has the intangible of the deep-seated desire to win, and that's something that I haven't seen in a Titans quarterback in quite some time. I think Levis is the guy. I just think that there's some moves that need to be made. MPF, I think he's got to go. Jalen Duncan, I think he's got to go. Obviously, easier.
Right, but then
done.
what?
John Ujuku, baby. It's a Juku mania.
It was down today. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you, Peyton. 615-737-1045.
It's
just cut all your right tackles.
Yeah, I guess that's the issue is what can this offense do without a right tackle? And right now they don't have one, and that's
basically they're playing without one anyway, even when he's on the field. And
listen, like we said, there were 34, outside of the sacks, 34 attempts. He completed over half. Over half of them. Is my math right? Yeah, over half of them. So
what is the math on that? 26 of 34,
yeah,
66%, something like that?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, his completion percentage over expected was he only should have made one more pass than he should have. according to Next Gen Stats.
76%.
Yeah, 70. I thought it was 76%.
There you go.
So, like, to me, it's like, okay, we saw some stuff. We saw some good, but it's got to be more. It's got to, and the reason it has to be more is because the offensive line is so bad. Like, is he the tractor or the trailer, right? Like, that's what you need, a tractor at the quarterback. You don't that could pull the team.
Right.
Joe Burrow, and when he went to the Super Bowl, had a really bad offensive line. They lost the Super Bowl because of that really bad offensive line, but they made it to the Super Bowl despite all that. Yep. Now, listen, he had Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. They got Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley, D-Hop. Not the same, but nothing to snub your nose at. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I think we're just seeing that, everything has to be right around Will Levis. And is that the kind of quarterback that you want as a Tennessee Titans fan? Is that the quarterback of the future? In my opinion, I do not want that kind of quarterback. I want the alien. I want the tractor. And right now we're seeing that he's not the tractor. Maybe something flips on and he just becomes it. Yeah. I'm not betting money on that.
I think it all starts up front. And I think it's hard to evaluate much of anything without that because, like, any quarterback under that kind of pressure, their numbers are coming down. Right. They just are because he had, what is he averaging, 1.5 seconds to throw? I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. And so here's the thing, though. The draft is what it is, right? You draft a guy and you have every hope that he's going to meet expectations or exceed them. You never expect a guy to not have a good career, be ridiculed with injuries, not pick up the playbook or whatever it might be, right? So you hope that this guy he meets your expectation or at very least, but maybe he exceeds them. So, but at quarterback, it's different because the old way, and I'm saying that now because I'm old now, the old way was you had a veteran that helped. You can sit that rookie high-profile draft pick for a couple years and let him develop and get acclimated to the National Football League game and be the backup. Now they're drafting a guy expecting him to be successful.
Yep.
But people can say this about Mahomes. Mahomes, as good as he has been in his short stint in the National Football League, he wasn't a starter his first year. He sat behind Alex Smith. Alex Smith was a great, gracious veteran who helped that young man, knowing he was drafted to take his position, and they got rid of him the very next year. And then the origin story for Mahomes is what it is. Even he didn't come in as, I'm going to put you in there, you're going to start day one. There's something to say about having an opportunity to watch the scene of the movies and then figure it out. So to sit there and say get rid of Will Levis right now and get a new guy, I pause on that just because you're going to go right back to the same growing pains.
615-737-1045. We are with you until 6:30. Chiefs at Falcons on Westwood 1. Kickoff at 7:20. And catch it right here on 104.5 The Zone. 2-0 Chiefs, 1-1 Falcons. By the way, Juwan Jennings. Woo. 49ers lead the Rams 24-14 in the fourth quarter. Juwan Jennings has 8 receptions, 148 yards, and 3 touchdowns so far today. More Titans Talk back next. 615-737-1045. Titans fall to 0-3, 30-14 to the Green Bay Packers. They give up a pick six. They commit a penalty on a missed field goal that, 2 or 3 plays later turned into a touchdown. There's 14 of the 30. I mean, we could do this every week. Titans
no pump block.
No pump block. They broke that streak. Titans Talkback presented by Lee Company. Brent Dougherty, Zach Lyons, Dr. Kevin Dyson. Of course, we can break down this game all day long tomorrow on 104.5 The Zone, in addition to some pretty big college football bits of news and notes. Tennessee, a big win in Oklahoma. Vanderbilt, get to overtime, double overtime against Missouri. And
you can't help root for Vanderbilt.
I know, right?
It was a fun game. I mean, it wasn't the prettiest or well executed or well coached game, but it was still a fun game to watch.
Very competitive, and man, Vanderbilt was calling.
I know it's not SEC, but Michigan USC was a fun game to watch as well. That was so random.
How does Michigan beat a top 20 team throwing the ball for 37 yards?
That offensive line, though, was of the USC, just got decimated. Yeah. Oh man, they got rocked.
So the big 2 bets that Slay and I talked about all week was Vanderbilt plus the 20.5 and Tennessee minus the 5.5, 6.5, 7.5, wherever you got it. So we had a good weekend.
So real quick, so the Panthers have scored 36 points. Just a reminder, the last time the Titans have scored 30 points was over 1,000 days ago now.
Who's the quarterback of the Panthers?
Andy Dalton, who right now is 26 of 37, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I kind of asked you guys the question, and is more of like a question for me out loud. Is like, but if Mason Rudolph could come in and win you games, is that really what you want? But then again, this quarterback class sucks. So
there's that. They desperately need, and you said this, and we both agreed, all 3 of us agreed, they desperately need Will Levis to work.
Yes.
They do.
Clean pockets. They need clean pockets.
Clean pockets and quick passes, right? I mean, like, design plays that can work with under 2.5 seconds, because 38% of the plays today did, and he was really exceptional at those today. So, like, that's the key. More plays that are not just short game. It has to be a quick short game when you have a bad offensive line.
Yep. A lot of people have turned off Will Levis completely. A lot of people blaming the offensive line. I think there's a lot of blame to go around today. Yes. Malik Willis came in here and carved up his former team. 13 of 19, 202 yards, a touchdown, 6 carries, 73 yards, and a touch.
Yeah. Listen. Love the defense for the first 2 weeks, but that defense will.
And it struggled today a little bit too. But let's say this: how many elite quarterbacks are there in the National Football League? Elite. Now, take that term for what it means. Elite quarterbacks. How many really good, or we'll say great? How many really good, and then the next level? So let's start with the elite. Who's the elite quarterback?
I only got Patrick Mahomes. I have Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. I have Josh Allen closer than Joe Burrow, but I would say only one elite guy, and that's Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, so I know people are expecting a Mahomes guy. You just said from your list, one really elite.
Yeah,
I'll give you 3 if you give the other 2, right? 3 out of 32 teams. They're not going anywhere, because they know what they have.
How long have the Titans been looking for it? How long have a lot of teams been looking for that next guy?
Right.
I mean,
they're looking for an elite guy.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to find.
And it's hard to find. It's hard. Man, it's one of the hardest positions in sports.
Yeah.
And that's why they get paid the way they do. That's why they get the blame that they do, to get the credit that they do, because it's one of the hardest positions in all of sports. So with that being said, the next level, the really, really good ones, there's a lot in that. There's a lot more.
Yeah.
I think you can put Tua in there, Stroud, who else?
Lamar Jackson.
You could put several people in there. Then there's the next level, and there's people like Goff and guys like that who are really good quarterbacks, could win a lot of football games in this league. But you wouldn't call them elite.
Right.
But they are really good football players who are going to win a lot of games, who could win a Super Bowl.
I asked this during the break. If not for Patrick Mahomes, how many of those guys would be considered elite? Because he's owning the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Right. So if, like, Patrick Mahomes, let's say, played baseball instead of football, like, does Josh Allen have one? Does Lamar have 1 or 2? I mean, he's got MVPs.
Lamar probably would have 1 or 2, because, I mean, that's one of the main reasons why he probably doesn't have 1 or 2 right now, is because of Patrick Mahomes.
And Josh Allen keeps losing in the playoffs.
Same too. And I would put Aaron Rodgers in the elite level, Maybe not now, but in that conversation. Because he had an elite career.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's in that conversation as far as quarterbacks that have done over long periods of time with like Tom Brady, who he is, but I'm going to say that name, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, some of the guys that had longevity, a lot of statisticals, won Super Bowls. That's on that elite level.
And he may still get there this year, right? Because I think we both agree that he's right now, you wouldn't classify him Patrick Mahomes, but there's still a lot of time. The further he gets from the injury, the more chemistry he builds up, the better he's going to look.
Even at 40.
Yep.
615-737-1045 is the number. We'll get to as many of you as we can. We'll be with you until 6:30 in advance of Sunday Night Football. Chiefs at Falcons. Randall in Nashville. Randall, what's up?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. Real quick, two things. Let's just get it out of the way, the elephant in the room. Let's not act like Green Bay Packers have not actually know how to breed quarterbacks. That's exactly what their club is known for. Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. You can go as far back as you can. That organization is just known for breeding out great quarterbacks. And the fact that Malik Willis has a chip on his shoulder because he feels like probably he had a home in Tennessee. You said earlier that he probably still actually has a house here and all his, belongings are still here. It was kind of a quick trade anyways. And when it comes to, someone being that young and only 3 years in the league and actually coming out 3 weeks and showing up 4 30-yard or more passing attempts, it's quite insane. It's a good feat for him, so congratulations to him. Now, when it comes to Tennessee's offense, I have been a fan and not a fan. I guarantee all of us can agree that it's kind of heartbreaking to be a Tennessee Titans fan nowadays. For the last 10 years or so, they've been rebuilding. But it's hard to put all the blame on Will Levis or the offensive line. I think you said it's correct that it's all encompassing with the young coaching staff. They have experience in other aspects, but play calling is not one of their core expertise per se. Will Levis, I say, do it a positive note when it comes to him is he actually is holding on to the ball. Is the good thing we can take from that is not trying to do anything silly or irrational with the ball from what he did last week. And a further note, I think no one's really talking about it. When you actually roll out and do a play action pass, can we not make it like a 6 seconds or 7 seconds to actually get rid of the ball? I mean, I know, a PA is a pretty, drawn out play to get everything leveling off in the secondary, but when you're actually doing a play action, it shouldn't take that terribly long to roll out and actually get rid of it. Now, the offensive line is pretty weak now without a right tackle or the center that we lost a couple of years back. But I think as Tennessee fans, when it comes to the new stadium, with that, I think Tennessee has always been in love with their football team, no matter what, since 99, 2000, first season, they're still the Tennessee Oilers. So I think what it all comes down to when it comes to Tennessee football is how can we get back to that, the glory of actually having a quarterback that's dynamic. Now, Will Levis has that ability, just we need to actually have some type of support around him instead of just negative all the time.
Thank you, Randall. Appreciate it. 615-737-1045. I think they've done a pretty good job of surrounding whoever that quarterback is for the next 5, 6, 7 years with a pretty good foundation of talent.
Yeah.
Now, there's still work to be done. Obviously, as Slay always says, they didn't get here overnight. You can't fix it overnight.
Yeah.
I think with regard to what Ram was able to do in the offseason, I think A++++. Now, you're not going to be able to fix everything. And one of those things is right freaking tackle.
It's a pretty important thing, though.
It is.
Nowadays with edge rushers being on both sides of the ball and being able to switch sides, right tackle is almost just as important. It's like 90% of what left tackle is.
That's like Greg Cosell said that a few weeks ago.
I stole that from him for sure.
It's not a blindside thing anymore, because you can count like the Rashawn Gary, the best defensive rush end for the Packers is left defensive end, and he was wrecking havoc.
Well, and you also saw them go overload on the right side, towards the end of the fourth quarter because they knew that's where it doesn't matter who's there, that's where you're going.
Yeah. You remember the time of the Titans where one tackle was a Pro Bowler and the other one was All-Pro?
Yes. I miss those days. Those were also the
Were you
best
on that
years.
team?
Ironically enough, those were the best years.
Conklin and Lawan, wasn't it?
Conklin and Lawan, yeah.
Conklin and Lawan.
Those were the best years of the Tennessee Titans when both tackles played really, really well. And that's just how it is in the NFL. And
so
look,
that's the next step, right? Fix. And they
but
are
that
trying
doesn't erase
to
also the first 2 weeks of Will Levis being bad.
I get it, but they are trying to fix the offensive line, even in that thing with a draft pick, and Cushenberry was the best available center without question.
And he looked really bad today.
He did too.
On a couple of plays, not as a whole, but just
I haven't
a couple
seen
plays.
the grading, but yeah, I noticed him a couple of times, and he didn't have a good week the first week of the season either. He did play well last week. But
if you're getting noticed as offensive lineman,
Yeah, the first 2 weeks you didn't hear Cushenberry's name. That's a bad sign. Or a good sign. Good sign. Today you heard it, and it's pretty bad. Look, I know that the offensive line is bad. I know, but the wide receivers are good. I know that the scheme is sequencing is a little bit of an issue. No run game today is probably the biggest issue that we really haven't talked about. And that's very important for a quarterback like Will Levis. But the play action still worked regardless, so that's a good sign. It's just like nothing. If one thing works well, like play action, there are about 13 other things that go to crap. But Levis is at the center of it, and we can make. I'm not saying anybody's making excuses, because that's the thing that everybody likes to say. Well, you're making excuses for Will Levis. No, it's objective reasons that some things happen. But let's be honest, Will Levis, for the full 3 weeks, the full blame, or the majority of the blame, is going to rest on Will Levis's shoulders, because for 3 weeks he has made boneheaded plays. He's held on to the ball too long. He stares down his receivers. For the whole season, Will Levis is number one on my blame chart for sure.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. Woody in Kentucky. Woody, what's up?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just let the last dairy cow go out. When a cow gets sick and I get him back to health, I take him to the stock pen. Now, he's got the passion, he's got the fire, but he's in the NFL. He should have never done all that stuff. But but could it be management with a new dome coming in? And you know how management think. Let's have 2 bad seasons, and then we'll start working. Could that be possible?
No, they're they're way too competitive. Nobody in that world wants to lose a game.
And they're trying to sell that seats. They're trying to sell that stadium.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, sir.
I remember paying $7 to a homeless guy. No, $10 for a ticket to the Titans game. I can't remember if it was cold, whatever. And there wasn't. I got down there, 1 minute left in the game. The lady let me in the big gate. For some reason, I'm down on the ground level, and that's called the Nashville Miracle. Never will forget it. For $10, I got to watch the Nashville Miracle. And another thing.
Boy, you want to talk about return on investment, Woody?
Hey, I'll tell you what. Only time I paid $100 to watch Dallas play down there at the Tennessee Titans. I've never paid no more than $10 for a ticket.
Was that the Christmas game against the Cowboys?
No. It's the game where that Dallas player put his foot on that guy's helmet. I got the picture.
Albert Hainsworth.
Yeah, on Gerard. Yep.
And one more thing. Do you think, with the White Sox coming to Nashville, will that have any effect on football? Hey, they're coming. I know.
Thank you, Woody. I will say this: the White Sox aren't going to leave Chicago. That would. I know that story is out there. That's posturing. They're trying to get a new building. All those things.
Imagine
the White Sox aren't coming here.
Well, who's paid for it?
Major League Baseball,
if they were even coming here,
is going to be here.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball is going to be here.
All right.
It's going to take a minute.
Yeah.
It's going to take a minute.
It's going to take like 5 years.
5 years.
5 or 6 years.
Yep. That's about what I would put on it. 615-737-1045. That was a funny directional turn there. Jeff is in California. Jeff, what's up, man?
What's up, guys? Thanks for letting me call in.
Yeah, man.
Hey, I caught the game at SoFi Stadium. I got there a little early and sat down and watched it. And I did notice a lot of Green Bay fans, but let me tell you guys, the 49ers own that stadium. I just left. Jesus, man. It was 80% 49ers fans. But let me tell you about Will Levis. We don't know what we have in Tajay. We don't know what we have in Will. We don't know what we have in Callahan. until we get somebody that can block for these guys, man. That's just the way it is. I mean, 8 sacks. Nobody can win a game with 8 sacks unless you're Joe Burrow in Nissan Stadium. That's the only way it can happen. So,
well,
that might be the realest statement of the night, right there.
But let me ask you this real quick, guys. Can you explain the holding on the field goal?
I really can't, honestly, Jeff. Man, we were talking about that before the show started. What was that?
They grabbed him.
There was like a little bit of helmet grab, but it's to me it was a very that is considered holding or whatever he did wherever he grabbed is considered holding.
It wasn't anything different than you ever see.
It feels like it's just like the ref must have been in the right spot at the right time because that call does not get called probably in 99% of special teams plays. I would have to assume
because technically the play call is right. Technically.
Yeah.
But the broadcasters were talking about a pull. Like he pulled him.
Because what happens, you're not supposed to be able to hold and pull a guy to create a gap.
And the guy goes running through.
And I think he grabbed like a little bit of the helmet when it's kind of was like moving him.
Yeah.
And I just consider it very ticky-tacky.
Titans at Dolphins coming up next Monday night. We will have the Eurofix look ahead when we come back and get you guys' take on that before they hit the bye week. Can't be 0-4, man. Cannot be 0-4. We'll try to take some more phone calls if you guys want to hang out. We will be back. Titans Talk Back presented by Lee Company. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Again, when we come back, we'll take a look at the Titans' next opponent in the Eurofix look ahead. Titans at Dolphins coming up next Monday night, which you can catch right here on 104.5 The Zone. Titans Talkback presented by Lee Company after every Titans football game. Home games, I host with you guys. Road games, Lucas Panzica hosts with you guys, and that's what will happen next week. Eurofix Look Ahead. Now we look ahead to next week's opponent in the Look Ahead presented by Eurofix. Let me remind you that Eurofix repairs everything European that you drive and below dealer pricing. ASE certified technicians, a local company that has serviced Middle Tennessee for more than 2 decades. Visit EurofixOnline.com. Next week, the Titans take on the Dolphins in Miami. Moon's over Miami. Obviously, Tua out with the concussion. He did make the trip. Skylar Thompson goes today. What happened, Zach?
He gets injured after a hit from Seattle's defense, and then here comes Tim Boyle because Tyler Huntley was inactive this week. So, obviously, they lose 24-3. Tim Boyle will probably be the backup quarterback next week if Skylar Thompson can't go, but I would expect that Tyler Huntley is going to be active. And if they, with that extra day, with it being on Monday, which maybe the NFL will do a special flex rule for us and maybe get them out and get this game out of prime time on Monday and put it back on like a Sunday at noon or something. Because that's where, I don't know. Maybe it's like a special. They have to do it like a special favor because nobody wants to watch that game.
I mean, the Dolphins got housed today.
Yeah.
I mean, they have weapons. And it's funny, you talked about Huntley last week before they even made that move.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a guy who's a similar talent to, what's the quarterback? He played for Buffalo for a lot of years.
Tyrod Taylor?
Tyrod Taylor.
Of course, he goes, I think, by Two-Rod now, but Tyrod.
Yeah. Nobody's going to watch that Monday, though.
They've still got Waddle. They've still got Tyreek Hill. They've still got Braxton Berrios. They've got Devon Achane. So they still have weapons. What do you anticipate? Titans are, by the way, a 1.5-point underdog right now in that game.
I think that'll switch.
With the quarterback situation?
Yep.
No, I don't think it's going to switch by much. I think it may be like a toss-up or something, but I think it will be 1.5 still. Tyler Huntley gives them a better opportunity to play. And the only reason I don't think he was active this week is because he just got signed by them, so they probably need to get him a little bit caught up to speed. So I think he'll be active next week, and I think Tyler Huntley versus Will Levis. Tyler Huntley in that offense is probably going to give you maybe not as much as Tua, but it'll give you a different dynamic presence because he does run. I'll be the one to say it. I think Tyler Huntley could end up being the best quarterback in that game on Monday night with the way things are trending right now. And some of that because of Will Levis, a lot of that because of the offensive line. So,
well, it's interesting because you see somebody like Will Levis. Obviously, they got a draft pick for him, but we'll call him like a free agent, 7th round pick, whatever. Dobbs had success in Arizona and at Minnesota for a short period of time. And now you got a guy like Huntley who's on his couch coming in who probably is going to end up having some success. And so it's just interesting to see
Pro Bowler,
how these coordinators, play callers utilize some of these different talents that's out there. Like none of these guys we're talking about are elite by any stretch, but they find ways for them kids to be successful. I say kids, men to be successful.
Got to find a win, though. Cannot go the bye 0-4.
Oh, gosh. Please. That would be rough, especially playing against a backup quarterback that just left you. That's already one.
And then you're playing someone's technically 4th string quarterback.
Yeah, who's been there a week and a half.
Yeah.
That is our look ahead.
Defense is going to really have to step up, in my opinion.
That is our look ahead presented by Eurofix. That's EurofixOnline.com. Yeah, how concerned are you about this team right now?
I am a lot. Morale, it's easy to start looking in the other direction, pointing fingers, and then hearing sports talk, the written media, the TV media. You get to watch and hear and see what everybody's saying about you. And it's just, you got to learn to turn a deaf ear and go blind, man, and just not look at all that stuff.
All the analysis coming up tomorrow, 104.5 The Zone.
It's, first 2 weeks were easily correctable mistakes. Today was a total and utter meltdown, so I'm fairly concerned.
30-14, Packers with the win. Titans fall to 0-3. Titans radio coverage Produced by Philip Noel and Brad Willis. Studio producer Jackson Williams. Today it's Reed Smith. Scoreboard producer Lucas Panzica. Network producer Joseph Bonanno. Promotions director Rich Ferris. Director of sales Hunter Rice. General manager Allison Warren. Operations manager Paul Mason. Executive producer is Rhett Bryan. Again, Titans fall 30-14. Appreciate you guys listening. Catch all the analysis and reaction all day long on Monday on 104.5 The Zone. For Zach Lyons and Dr. Kevin Dyson, I'm Brent Dougherty. Sunday Night Football is next. Chiefs at Falcons right here on 104.5 The Zone.